This is gorgeous to have you all here for today, and I will share my screen. Can you see the whole screen this time, please? Yes, good. Okay, so you don't have to imagine what's on the other side anymore. Sorry about that last time. I was using a hey, there's a bit of a theme here. I was using some free open source um, sort of software that so I didn't have to use Microsoft software that my son had set up for me. And what it did was it just wrecked so much stuff. And so there you go. Two lessons in the one day. Just do the legitimate things, pay your licenses, and everything will work better. So there you go. I'm not usually one to be trying to worry about these things. I've got a. Are you seeing a blue dot?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, we will just live with that. Let me see if I can get through to here. Okay, cool. This was actually a topic that was suggested by our members. So we do listen to you. And personal brand authority and influence is one that we used to do a lot of. So I was really happy to be doing it. But I realized I've shifted a lot in my thinking about personal brand. So it'd be lovely to hear your thoughts on that too. So you all know who I am, Lynn Hawkins, and I'm the National Director of Business Women Australia. Bear with me while I flick through all this very quickly. I'm not going to do the whole lot because I did take on Claudette's feedback that it takes up too much of our time. So thank you, Claudette, for that. We do acknowledge the beautiful lands in which we are meeting, especially during Reconciliation Week this week, and pay respects to Indigenous elders past, present, and those emerging. And I was going to share with you this little thing. Can you hear this? No, nor can I. Okay, I'm not going to share it with you then. It worked last night for me. Okay, I'm not following the confident facilitators rules either, which is practice with someone else. Let me just see if it works here, just before I give up. Oh, hang on.
It's okay, Lynn. I practiced with my husband last night, who was supposed to be training a team last night, and he logged in and he still couldn't get it to work. So we all have these issues.
Okay, let's add that to our confident facilitators practice. How do we share the sound when we go into Instagram? Kathy, can you remind me to, oh, hang on, here it is. Oh, here it is. I found it. Yay. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Let's go back because she's just gorgeous. She's actually Paige Little Fair, and she's a Widgery woman from WA, and I just love the way that she's sharing what reconciliation means to her. So I'm going to see if I can.
I'm currently in the final year of my law degree studying at Curtin University, and I'm deeply passionate about advocating for the protection of the environment and finding ways that we can look after country better. I think that this is a really proactive and progressive, exciting space to be a part of. I believe in the immense importance of embedding First Nations perspectives in the work that we do, because without respect for country, culture, and the history of the work that we're doing, there's just no way for it to be as meaningful or as impactful as it ultimately is. So this year's theme for National Reconciliation Week is All In, and part of the work that I'm doing with Both NRM is making sure that we fully across all the ways that we can be all in on both a personal and a professional level as an organization, but also as individual members. Yeah, so for example, the First Nations calendar that we're hoping to get out soon, possibly in the share and newsletter, is a really good example, just commemorating and acknowledging important dates. To learn more or to get involved, you could look at the Perth NRM website and read. We'll have a page on that and have a look at the stories about. 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . . . . 。 . . . 。 . . . 。 . . . . 。 . . . . 。 . . 。 . . 。 . .
。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 .
。 I'm Paige Littlefair.
Okay, thanks for bearing with me. And I think you've got the idea. Think about what's going on in your local areas. Who are your local young aspiring leaders that are involved in raising their voices as well? So I'm hoping that was a little bit of inspiration. So thanks for bearing with me on that one. Okay, of course, our partners, love to mention them, especially LG Accounting Solutions at this moment, who are very busy getting our end of years and our financial and strategy sessions up and running for us. Of course, we're also very, very happy with all our sponsors, and Fire Up Coaching are actually offering some special opportunities for those who want to get ICF accredited coaching pathways. So make sure you look at those. What have we got next? Okay, we're really working on aligning our language. So we'd love to hear your thoughts about things that if you see there's language that we're putting out there that doesn't seem to fit with the way that we're moving as a ecosystem of conscious leadership development, and a community that's working together through those genuine connections. If you see something that doesn't quite sit, please let me know, because we're in this process of sort of reshaping a lot of the way that we put things out there. So today's session, create meaningful connections, of course. I loved hearing you all chatting amongst each other. We're going to explore ideas, challenges, and opportunities around the personal branding piece and sharing insights. This is very much a peer group who has a lot of experience, and there's a lot of knowledge and expertise in the room. So I'm really hoping we can really unpack, each other's ideas and thoughts and insights into our topic for today. So being here now, we're going to be obviously stepping in from the busyness of everything we are, and Kathy's accepted the offer to do a grounding exercise with us, and so I think we might do that first now, Kathy. So over to you.
Thanks, Lynn. We'll start off with a double intake breath. And what that looks like is we breathe in at the top, hold it briefly, and then breathe in again and do a quick sigh. So it's breathe in, hold, sigh. And again, breathe in, hold, breathe in again, and sigh. Now, the next stage, and you're welcome to close your eyes or hold a soft gaze while looking at me, and we'll have our palms up, and it's really a breathing exercise as we move up and down through the fingers. So we'll start off with the forefinger holding the thumb, and we breathe in as we go down, breathe in, down, forefinger down the thumb, in, and forefinger up the thumb, out. Next is the thumb holding the middle finger, the forefinger, sorry. Breathing in as you go down, in, down the finger, and out, up. Next is the middle finger, thumb to the middle finger. Breathing in as you go down, in and up the middle finger, out, in again with the third finger as you go down, in and out as you go up. Last finger, in as you go down, and out as you go. Over to you, Lynn.
Oh, thank you. That was a lovely and different grounding exercise. So thank you for that, Kathy. I appreciate that. I'm already feeling that my energy levels have shifted lower and into the room. Love these conscious communication parameters, respecting each other's reality. We all come from a different background, different cultures, different worlds, experiences. So our perspectives are all valid. Everyone's perspective is valid. And that's really tied into the speaking in I language and moving away from speaking about, you know how it is, we, women. Actually, that is sort of lumping everyone together and not recognizing this very, very key difference between you and me. So when we bring ourselves into the conversation, speak from your own personal perspective and really practice using that I language. I've learnt very, very deeply that my experience and my perspective and what works for me is very, very unique to me. And that the women around me are all going to do something that's uniquely right for them. So while I can share what I do and why I do things, that actually isn't necessarily the way that Kathy or Diana or Nikki or Claudette or anyone here right now is going to want to progress forward, and that's all fine too. So, but I can learn from what they share and they can learn from me. So I was thinking about this topic, and I did present it a lot at the very early stages, coming from, a background of general management and marketing communications sort of specialization that had got me there. This was a big topic that people would come to ask me about. And I would say, this is how you do it. Bang, 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 bang. And off you go. It was as easy as that. I'd worked it out, and this is how you did it. I thought it was fairly prescriptive. And I thought if you followed these things, you just did it and it would work. And, I think back over those last sort of 10, 15 years, how much I've learnt and unlearned. And I've had to unlearn a lot of that because my style of doing things is not necessarily the way that everyone could do or should do. And I certainly don't even do it like that anymore as well. So, really looking forward to revisiting this topic from a position of consciousness and intention and alignment with values and alignment with my understanding of where I'm sitting right now in the room and not having to be the one that speaks first and being, as a leader, more interested and curious about others and what they bring to the table. So I would love for you all to maybe take off your buttons, your mute buttons, or take off your mute buttons. I'm going to actually show my gallery. I'm going up to look at my gallery to show everyone here. How do I see you all looking a bit different? So I've got a gallery view. I can open it up. I want you to share one win. Let's have a win. It'd be nice, a little spontaneous win. I wasn't going to do this. I was going to get you all to deep dive around your idea of what a personal brand is, but I'd actually like to know a win. That's a good win and why you came today. So I'm just going to stop this share so I can see everyone. We can come back to that. Oh gosh, there's so many more people here than I was and I realised, hi, Sitsi, you've gone on. You forgot about our daylight saving. It's good to see you. What time is it over there?
9:45.
Oh, it's all good. That's all good. Okay, so take off your things and let's go whiz around the room. Diana, what's a win that you have and what brought you here?
So a win this week is being very close to publishing my website because I'm in startup mode. So that's incredibly exciting to have all of the pieces come together. And why am I here today? Because I'm in startup mode and just learning from others and being in a space where we share collective wisdom and experience is really powerful.
Absolutely. Kathy Turner, a win from you and what brought you here? On mute. While you're sorting that out, I'll flick over to Sada. We'll come back to you.
A win for
us, I'd say, is that we've got a client in Canada who wants to buy our Agreement Works consent card game and the lessons that go with it to work with her um, youth group, which is pretty cool. So it's pretty wild. I'm getting interest from unusual places, so I'm excited by that. I'm here today because personal branding, big issue, especially when you're doing something like consent. So I'd really love some guidance and I suppose my default position is to separate myself from the business. That's the business, and I'm a different person. But I'm just kind of wondering what's the best way to go.
Oh,
And I'm going to apologize for leaving early because I've got to be on another meeting at 2, which I just need about 10 minutes of prep for.
okay, Sada. And feel free to jump in and book a one-on-one with me on that because I've been grappling with that for 10 years. I separated myself from BWA and then I've put myself in front of it and then I've separated again. It's just classic. So I would love to share with you my journey on that one.
Thank you.
And anyone else who wants to offer Sada a one-on-one afterwards, please do a message to her with your booking links if you're keen to for that. Kathy Turner, back to you.
Yes, big win for me today. No, this week I received an email that generally would have upset me, and I would have, shall we say, fired back and have a really, really reactive behavior, which is not necessarily positive when you get reactive. And I didn't. That was a massive win. I would have, yes. So yeah, that's a big win for me. And I went through that as we received the email with a staff member, and I could show and demonstrate that without even thinking about it. So that was an even bigger win, actually. It's a lot better to have that, I feel, showing it than going, well, we need to be calm about these things. Anyway, so I'm here. I've never thought about personal branding. So it's a good start.
Excellent, fantastic. Catherine Dixon, lovely to have you here, even for a short time.
Yeah, so I'll apologise at the outset because I will need to dive out. So maybe I'll answer the second question first, which is why am I here? I have finally found some time in the middle of the day to actually get my BWA filled. So that is why I'm here today, and really interested in hearing, others' experience of personal branding. You can probably see from my background, I work for a very big corporate. So this business of separating oneself from one's corporate self is really quite an interesting tightrope sometimes, I think, to carry across. In terms of a win, well, it sounds very it's very commercial, I guess, is what it is. I got an email this morning saying, hey, can you send me the ABN number and the USI number for, I work for a super fund, for the super fund. We've just got to give this other company the details ahead of their acquisition, and they want to appoint you as the default fund. But, I haven't done anything to achieve this, but hey, you've got 5,000 employees, so I'll happily take that one. So that was my morning.
I'm giving you a rocket ship for that one.
Oh.
Over to Jacelyn.
Hello. My win is kind of still coming from last week. So I got to spend an amazing week in Singapore. This is what a week in Singapore looks like. It's just thousands of business cards that I'm trying to sort of process and connections and continue following all the bouncing balls. But that relates to why I'm here, because as part of getting to meet people in Singapore and connecting, I was just awfully embarrassed by my LinkedIn profile that has me in my cute little beanie, out in the bush, which is very me. But I do think it's probably not opening some of the doors that I needed to have some of particularly in the international space, some of the conversations that I want to have. So I need to start thinking about this more seriously.
Wow, that's pretty deep. And look, it's tough for you because you're representing Bush heritage. So it's that yin and yang piece around, I'm serious, I'm serious in my role, but I'm also connected to my work. I love that. Claudette, over to you. What's a win with you and why?
Oh, this week I was determined to finish an edit of a manuscript, and it's 145,634 words across 234 pages, and I have finished.
Woohoo, congratulations.
Whoa, that is extraordinary, and that is great. And was it lovely to read?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a very interesting story. It's about a gentleman who grew up in the central wheat belt of WA, talking about rural areas. And when he passed away 2 years ago, he was 94. So it goes back several generations as well. And they were so innovative back in those early days because they didn't have a Bunnings nearby. But this is also a man that at age 72 ticked off an item on his bucket list. He got his private pilot's license. And
Wow.
a lot of the stories are about him and the flights that he made around WA. So yeah, it's been a great story.
Fantastic. That's inspiring just hearing that little expose of that. And Claudette, what brought you here today?
Well, I've always been interested in personal branding, so the topic was definitely one of interest. And it's changed quite a bit over the years, depending on whether I worked for a corporate, and it's also changed during the time that I've been self-employed.
Interesting. I'm always interested in where book publishing fits inside personal branding as well. So we might sort of come back to that later on if we get time. It might be a topic in its own right. I'm thinking about it myself. I've started writing a book. I think I made that great declaration on one of these meetings, and it's a lot harder than I thought. So I think I need a good Claudette in my life. Over to you, Nikki.
Good morning. Good afternoon. So why I'm here, personal branding sort of changed, I think, over the years. It's sort of come into fashion and gone out of fashion. So I'm interested to get people's perspective. But this is my monthly soak of BWA, getting my connection with these wonderful female business leaders. It's very heartwarming that I have this hour and a half with everybody. Probably my win of the week is I'm a leadership coach for women in male dominated industries, and I've actually now hopefully found a connection who I've now managed to work with over the last week, who's going to get me into people like Rio Tinto and BHP, and hopefully I can go and do some corporate coaching with their women in their team. So that would be amazing if I can go and pick up those corporate businesses in my coaching.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, we've had a few of the ladies that have come in and out of BWA that have been in mining resources. It's a tough gig out in those environments, and coaching for them will give them so much strength and ability to find in themselves those gifts that they have to be able to, have their voice and influence without compromising who they are. It's great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Tsitsi.
Hello, I'm Sitsi and I'm based in the United States and I'm glad to be here. I'm here. I love this community once a month to join, and I'm just here to learn as well. And my win for this week is there's a young woman that I have been mentoring over the last few years, and I helped her to apply to graduate school, and she is admitted to more than one school, and so she is on her way to starting graduate school. So I was really proud of her.
That's incredible. And what about the personal branding topic? Have you got any thoughts on that one?
Yes, I mean, I have definitely some interest in just learning from other women in the room, their perspective on the personal branding component for sure.
Yeah, because that's an interesting one for you too, coming from, having dental practice and then moving into,
Mhm,
coaching and mentoring as well as running that. It's
mhm,
find that fascinating
mhm.
too. You've got these portfolio. A lot of women in here have a portfolio of different things that they're doing. It's this interesting thing about us as hustlers, side hustlers. Joe, good to see you here. You're in the car. You were sideways and this ways and that.
I'm
It's kind of fun
yes,
you getting straightened out.
I'm sorry. I was trying to get it to stay on the dashboard, and yes, um, I I am. I'm sitting in my car because I am in between meetings and started a new contract. And so for me, that's the sort of big change. And then also a little bit of what Kathy said is I kind of had a different response to an interaction at work that I'd normally be take on very personally. I went, you know what? This is not a criticism of me. This is just me fitting into the new situation. And we wrote it out and smoothed it over, and it was all good. And why I'm here is very much about this. A little bit of what you just said then, this duplicity. I have two sort of businesses, and so it's a different person or a different brand for each business. And so I feel at the moment it's very much about checking in, updating, refreshing, and getting confident, reconnected with each of those brands of me.
Mm,
So
yeah,
yeah,
finding that common
good.
thread.
Yeah, and the differences. So where I wear that hat and where I wear that hat. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, we're going to love this session together. I'm sure you and I, especially. Karen,
I,
great to
I,
have you back. We haven't seen you for a while.
It's great to be back. I almost couldn't make it to this one either because it's just been jam-packed. But I am happy to be here. It's nice to see some familiar faces. So similar to what the other lady said, get my little fix of BWA. Love it. Win for me this week was actually one of my articles was published in Business Builders. And it was published live today. So that is a huge win for me, actually. I know, great publication, and so that was amazing. And as I'm getting more and more into my writing, it's great that the media is picking it up now. So that's awesome. Reason for today, I actually did, I was invited to get onto a podcast or to come onto a podcast that I conducted, I think now 2 weeks ago, possibly, talking about brand positioning. And it was a really interesting conversation, and it was really just a conversation. Like I hadn't really planned for it on that sort of thing because I run my company, but then I also have my own personal part of me that runs into or sort of bleeds into the company, and how to differentiate that can be over the years has been a bit of a guessing game, but it has become more established for me. So I spoke on that. So I'm really keen to hear whether I was just talking crap, and today's presentation will really validate what I was saying. So, or whether some of the things I said were actually right and I'm on the right page. So I'm just really interested in that other perspective and other point of view, and I'd love to learn from it as well, like what I can do better, and what if there are easier ways of working through that muddy, messy middle with the two,
Mm,
business and personal branding. Yeah.
thanks, Karen. That's yeah, it's can sometimes feel like that, can't it? Kat, over to you. What's been a great win for you this week, and what brought you here?
I don't know, I'm feeling a bit down today, to be honest. I just had a less than positive interaction, which was partly my fault with my bank. But anyway, uh, one positive win I've had today, I'm really enjoying Speechify. It's an app that reads out copy, and it's another way of processing information. So in our brains, we can add in words or see something that other people, well, that's already in our brains, right? But Speechify is like having an external editor. a bit like having a Claudette, but obviously a step before Claudette. And I'm really enjoying it and actually seeing the usefulness of having an external app read my documents out loud. So it's just a nice check before I send an email or post a document online. Yeah, so yeah, it's really enjoying that realization. And why I'm here, I've actually invested a reasonable chunk of money in learning about personal branding before. So I'm curious to see the information today. I just want to make a comment about the separation between myself and personal brand. I think I'm reasonably well advanced on that journey, partly because of the discipline of being a corporate marketer and having to separate out brand development and from your own personal judgment and what you like and trying to think from the external point of view. So yeah, also keen to see how that gets mapped out today as well.
Thanks, Kat. Awesome. And your input's going to be invaluable as well. Alex, lovely to have you here. Welcome. What brought you here and what's a win you'd like to share?
Hello. Well, this is my first meeting. I think I'd subscribed to the BWA News or something, and Katrina emailed me and said, "Why don't you come along and see what this is like?" So yeah, so I'm here. I actually have to leave at 1:30, but it's such a great conversation already. So I'm glad I came along. And like a
Welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Like a number of the women, I sort of wear a few different hats. So I've started my own company a couple of years ago, but it's quite small, and it's Sustainable Solutions Advisory. And through that, I do sort of sustainability related advice and also leadership. And one thing I suppose I struggle with is, even if you just go to an event and they say, well, what organization are you from? Like I sit on a number of boards and sometimes I wear different hats and it can be really hard to give a one sentence answer on, well, who are you and what do you do? So clarity is kind of the thing I struggle with. And a win. Well, yeah, I ran a Women in Leadership masterclass for sort of emerging leaders over the past 2 days. And that finished yesterday and I'm pretty tired today, but they just, you could see them leave feeling really energized and confident. And that is just it's one of my favorite things that I do. It was kind of so joyful to look at that. So yeah, that's really lifted my spirits this week.
Oh, thank you, Alex. And it's great to have you here with us. You're in good company. We're all in these kind of leadership roles where there's this ripple effect going on in the communities around us. And I can just see this is why I think you're here, is you're here for a good reason and amongst very diverse thinkers, but all very shared values here in the room. So welcome. I will respond to your scenario there because you do have to leave early. And I will share some great advice I got from one of our leaders in Business Women Australia, Marie Gooch, who has a most extraordinary career where she's on board. She's a chairman of Chris Wireless. She's a director of her company, Value Creators. She was also a regional manager for Safe Farms WA. She was the head of Rotary in Perth. She was doing all this stuff. She's at multiple director roles and also a mentor with the UWA Career Mentor Program. And I said to her, how do you, when people say, what do you do? How do you answer? And she said to me, I think about what is my most pressing issue facing the moment and who is in the room that might potentially help me with that. So I think about it and tailor my response according to what my needs are at the time and what I think might be of value to the person in front of me. But I start with, I have a portfolio career. And I have used that ever since. Now, for example, I'm in the same boat. I'm a strategic partnerships lead for the Peel Community Foundation. I'm the national director and founder of Business Women Australia. I have my own consulting practice. I'm a career mentor with UWA as well, and I'm on a couple of not-for-profit boards. So this is an interesting thing. I think about when I'm going somewhere, who am I representing tonight?
Yeah.
what's that key thing? But I do start off with the fact that I have a portfolio career so that they kind of like are interested because then they might ask me afterwards, tell me about your portfolio.
Yeah.
And so it's a really great way to introduce yourself because, I used to say I'm a bit schizophrenic. I've got lots of things. That's going to get
Yeah.
cancelled if I say that because I might
Yeah.
actually be talking to someone who has a schizophrenia,
Yeah.
thing. So I can't make jokes about stuff like that. So
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the portfolio thing, and I think there's quite a few ladies that are nodding, going, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that way of describing things. And even if you're in a full paid role and you're at a function and your other things that you do are kind of more relevant to the people you're working with, you can talk more about the portfolio part.
Yeah.
And, your role as a mortgage broker, for example, in that environment isn't as relevant as, this other work you're doing. So,
Yeah.
so that's great. Anyway, I'm going to go back to sharing because we're going to get stuck into this. That's awesome. I just love that kind of sharing because it really gives each other a perspective of where we've all come from and what we bring to the table and being understanding of each other.
Lynn, I'm not sure if we asked, did we hear from Jacqueline?
Yes, we did. And
we did. Okay.
About that beanie issue on her thing, which I kind of like that picture of your beanie. And because Jacqueline's just come back from Singapore with all those business
Oh,
cards.
yes, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring up our inner development goals here from the UN sustainability goals. And in fact, we've got Kat who's been having a good look at these because she's working with us in the marketing and advisory board as well. The being, the thinking, the relating, the collaborating, and the acting piece around self-development. I thought, how does this relate to personal branding? Because I used to always say, your personal brand is actually what people say about you when you're not in the room. Yeah, that's a classic definition from a leadership perspective of what your personal brand is. But there are aspects of your personal brand that you can actually intentionally design and intentionally put out there from a marketing, communication, strategic point of view. But at the end of the day, you can put a lot of stuff out there, as many politicians like to do. But at the end of the day, what is in what your presence is, how you express your thoughts, how you relate and care for others, how they feel about you when they're in your presence, how you make them feel, how you work with others, how you bring them in to walk alongside you, how you communicate that collaborative piece, and how people see the way you act. You're acting with courage, with hope, with optimism. I'm working with someone at the moment who's got a very key role as a chair. There's a lot of stuff going on with them, and when they walk in the room, there's a feeling of distress and tiredness and sadness that is actually contagious. So it's a really, and then there's another person I'm working with, and the minute I walk in the room with them, and they're so joyous and excited by seeing me, and I'm feeling valued and enthusiastic, then I'm full of ideas. I'm comparing those two experiences of those two leaders and thinking, wow, what an impact an energy can have on someone. So, and it's interesting because I spoke to this particular person who was not so happy and said, what's going on? And there was a bunch of stuff going on. And it was very real. And it was obviously not something that they were feeling that they could leave behind. And then I spoke to this other person and said, how's things going outside, what we're doing today outside work? And she told me the most disastrous things. Yet I would never have known if I hadn't have asked. And every one of us around the room were able to bring our full selves into that room for the focus that was needed at that moment. That wasn't to say that we couldn't have a meaningful, honest conversation outside, and there was that closeness enough for me to check in and ask how she was going. But I found that fascinating. It got me thinking about leadership and what a personal brand is from a conscious leader's perspective. So there's a few things around personal branding that are starting to scaffold my own thinking. And one is, what do we have out there that's projected? Very much like Jocelyn's, view. Like when people look at my LinkedIn profile, what do they see about me and my professionalism, my talent, my thinking aspects? Am I showing that my thinking and my capabilities can be trusted? But also, how is my personal brand from a relational point of view, in terms of people and how they experience me? Is my brand one that is influential in a way that doesn't come from command control, where people have fear and have to feel that they're going to be frightened, so they have to do what I'm saying, but influential in a way where it's authentic and empowering and builds trust. And with trust comes this desire for being a part of your world. From a business perspective, we know that people like to do business with someone they know, that they feel they know, that they really know, that they can trust, and that they like. So know them, like them, trust them. They're the three aspects, and that means so much more to me now that I'm on this journey of being a conscious leader, because I just really did focus on the fact that, okay, to know me, you can find me, I'm out there, this is what I'm doing, it's true, I'm honest, I'm capable. To like me, you'll like me because I get stuff done. That was my view. But I'm realizing likability actually comes from more than the belief that you're going to get stuff done. It's more around, how do I feel? How does she or he feel in my presence? How do I leave them feeling? Do I leave them feeling that they've just, have to fit what my view is of something, or do they feel that they've got something to contribute? So I'm really keen on hearing how your identity may have evolved. And some of you have already thought about this, and because I could hear it in your sharing earlier on. But if you would like to share, how has your identity evolved, and when have you felt aligned rather than acting and performing? So I think this is a very deep part of the personal brand piece. For a few years there, particularly earlier in my career, even the way I dressed, the language that I used, I even started thinking about getting a voice coach to bring my lovely, sweet, high voice down to being more like, Ita Buttrose, or, some of the CEO, the chief executive women, and they're all speaking very much lower, and that probably would have been a good idea, but I just decided not to, and I would stay with my sort of upbeat voice, because that's a part of my signature and a part of my identity. I've had people come across a room and ask me if I am Lynette Walster from Year 10 Drama Camp, and wow, look at what you're doing now. So I'm so glad I didn't change that unique aspect of who I am. So what is unique to you? How has your identity evolved? And are you getting closer to that feeling of being more aligned with the truth of who you really are, rather than acting and performing? Just want you to think about that for a bit. Think about where you were before and where you are now. I'm just going to stop sharing for a little bit there, and I'd just like to ask you, if you'd like to share anything with the group, please take yourself off mute. Kathy, what is unique to you? Has your identity evolved? When have you felt aligned rather than acting or performing? Thank you so much for adding that to the chat box.
I'm happy to share, Lynn.
Thanks, Nikki.
So I've worked at Ford my whole career. I retired from there last year. So being in a very male dominated industry as an engineer in the 80s and 90s, because that's when I joined, you have, as a women, and I'm sure a lot of you who have worked in male dominated industries, we feel that we've got to put ourselves further out there, be louder, work harder, and then you just don't become your own self anymore. You're not your own person. And it probably took me till about my mid-30s to sort of sit back and go, I even coach this today, what's the legacy you want to leave? And as you talked about how people talk about you when you've left the room, and that's how I, over the past 20 years now, have sort of said, what is the legacy I want to leave? So that when I leave Ford, that people are still talking about me in a positive way. And I've always had that at the back of my mind on then how I have progressed through my career on not just how I want to be treated, you treat people how you want to be treated, but really I put that, what is my legacy that I want people in 20 years after I've left to still be talking about me, and in a very positive way. So that's what really changed my shift of how I went to work every day, how I communicated, how I worked, how I spoke, listened. And so it just made a very positive change to and that became my own person again.
Nikki, can I ask you, how do you think they might describe you?
Probably, and it's why I actually have my title of my company is Commanding with Care, because obviously in a business environment that I worked in, where you have KPIs and people are expecting you to deliver. I worked on the Ranger and Everest vehicle programs, but I did it with a very nurturing, caring perspective. So I'm hoping that is what people are still saying about me. She always delivered, but the one thing she always made sure was that her people were first and the business was second.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so enlightening, and it speaks to me for sure. Diana, you've taken yourself off mute. Please share.
I've been on a journey around identity. Well, I think it's something that you do your whole lifetime. But more recently, really disconnecting my identity from what I do to who I am and how I show up. And, that links with, sort of your spirituality, I suppose, and that sense of, something bigger than ourselves, the contribution that you make. But the bridge in between it is very much the values and beliefs. And, it kind of goes both ways as well. So whilst if someone said, who are you? How do you identify? I find that really hard to answer. I can very easily say what I do, but it's really nailing that, who actually am I without all these, embellished words that actually mean nothing as well.
Diana, if I was to ask you, what do you care most about? What would you say to me?
I would say that I care most about creating community and people having connection with each other and being able to be their best selves in whatever it is that they're doing.
And for you, what is a great community?
A great community is one that collaborates and that supports each other and that, sort of works together, shares, and is inclusive of everybody.
There you go. It wasn't that hard, was it?
Yeah.
So I'm not overthinking it, speaking from the
No.
heart. How beautiful and articulate that was, and it just made me want to ask more.
Yeah, no, thank you. And great questions. They'd actually be great to use in networking events when you're trying to learn more about other people.
I love that question. What do you care about? And it really does shift from what do you do? Although sometimes I really am interested in what people do, because if I'm at a networking event and I've got and I'm trying to sniper my way,
Yeah.
I actually got to work out how long I want to spend talking to someone if I've got a KPI I've got to meet. So Catherine
Yes.
is laughing because Catherine and I come from similar BD backgrounds and we remember those awful KPIs. She's probably still got a few of her own there. Who else would like to share? Thank you. That's awesome. Anyone else got a Claudette? Lovely. Oh, Jocelyn, Claudette, go.
Yeah, I guess and look, I've mentioned this on other occasions. Age makes such a big difference. I have reached a time in my life where I know I don't have to pretend, I don't have to act. I can just be me because quite frankly, I don't really give a rat's about acting or performing. Mind you, I love performing. I used to love being on stage. I sang, I danced, I acted. But in real life and what I'm doing, I don't have to. And I don't.
Absolutely.
And that has come about with age.
And also, do you think also with the fact that you have your own business, so you're not answering to anybody else or their brand?
Yes, that has a little bit to do with it but even when I was working for corporates, I was still me. You know, we've talked on several occasions about male-dominated industries. I started in IT in 1985. Women were a rare breed. I didn't try and be like one of the boys. I actually took real advantage of being a female, and I never ever lost that.
No, I can't ever been the case, Claudette.
Yeah, well, I guess it also comes from being confident about yourself, who you are. And look, I've also never been afraid to ask somebody how I do come across, because I know how I want to be seen. But to then ask somebody, and don't ask somebody you know, ask somebody you don't really know, and get an honest answer, because those first impressions can be so important.
Thanks. Jocelyn, over to you.
I'm loving this conversation. Thank you. I find it so interesting that what people say about you, maybe when you've left the room, because I think that's why I'm struggling with sort of that LinkedIn side of things, because I am me. Like, authenticity is one of my top values. I am the girl from the bush that wears the beanie. But and when I am in that conversation, I know from the feedback that people really resonate that with my passions and the things that I care about. But the reality is that my role is philanthropy executive within Bush Heritage. So people, I think, when they see that, it's like, oh, she's just after my money. And I really need my personal brand to be able to expand, because I want them to talk to me, and I want to talk to them more than just about their money. And I think that that's the bit that I'm sort of, I want, what are people saying about me before I get into the room, and how do I get into that room to have that conversation with them, to assure them that, yes, of course, I wholeheartedly believe in the power of philanthropy to change the world. That's why I do what I do. But I'm not here to make a hard sell for you. I'm here to connect and have a conversation. And so I think that's where that personal brand can have that such a disconnect between what you're trying to achieve and potentially a role that you're sitting in. Oh, yes, that's me.
Okay, so let's have a look at it. Okay, ladies, let's have a good look at it. Mother Nature needs her daughters, homeward bound. So tell us about that image you've got at the back, because to me, straight away, if I'm a man in Singapore, I'm going to think, oh, you're just doing stuff with women or girls.
Yeah. So that was me being proud of a course I did a couple of years ago. So again, highlights a refresh is desperately needed.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, can we use you as an example?
Sure.
Because when we meet somebody, after we've had that initial feeling about how amazing it is, the fact that you have so many business cards, I can say for a fact that the presence you have in the room is wonderful because they've given you their cards. I know that there is that sort of type of environment where they are going to give their cards anyway, but the fact you've got so many is a really good testament of that. So they are all going to go and check you out. You've given them your card as well. So, and thinking about this now is a really good time because now is the time to do it. Ideally, it would have been good to do it before you went to Singapore, but now is the time to do it. So this is a priority. Got all these
Going to the US in September, so that's my new deadline.
Perfect. The first thing immediately that would be is if you want to improve like that is professional, but you could have something even more professional in the background. This is real estate. We call this real estate from a Marcom's point of view. Everything on your LinkedIn is real estate for you. So think of it as a billboard. What's the billboard that I want to be promoting behind me? And a lot of people don't use that bit of real estate the best way. For me, because I'm really focusing a lot on Business Women Australia and the Peel Community Foundation, I've put both my logos across my real estate at the back at the moment because I know there's a lot of people I'm outreaching to with both my hats on. And I don't mind the fact that they'll see that I've got these two passion projects in my life. So again, there's a bit of real estate down here, which is gorgeous. And this has an opportunity in here to do a lot more than what you've got there.
Yep.
This is where I give a little bit of myself. I'm constantly changing my about piece and I have softened it. I think I've even got in there now that my purpose in life is to bring more love into the world. It's taken me a long time to actually share that on my LinkedIn, but I've got it fairly like way down. So you've got to get right to the bottom to get to that because I know that might sound a bit weird for some people. But really, that is my purpose in life. It's pretty simple, makes things very simple. If it doesn't bring love into the world, I don't do it. So this is a really great part. Now, if you know, for example, there's something in particular that you want shared, and I love the way you articulated that philosophy that you just had then. Would have been a good thing to pop in your about. Your philosophy, what drives me, the people I would love to meet with. I like to, if you feel aligned to talk to me about this that I'm working on at the moment, this is what we're looking. You can change this about piece as you lead into things. Share a little bit more about stuff because this looks like the way you've got it here is that you're looking for perhaps a new job.
I honestly think I wrote that probably 12 years ago.
You were great for the job you have now. So this is beautiful bit of real estate.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I like that. There's a wonderful community here. That's awesome. So here we have here is more real estate here. This section here, and a lot of people don't use this bit of real estate, is in this role. Like this can be an invitation again, because this is another thing that people will look at. What is this role that she does? Is she the right person that I should be talking to? And it's also full of SEO keywords. So when I go to actually do a search on a person that I'm looking for, if I put a search up here and I'm looking for a bush or let's say Australian, what would I might be looking for Australian nature, sustainable funds. Let's say I'm looking for someone who does that. So those words, think about what are the words that someone who's in my world that I want to be connected to might put into a search term, and think about what they put in, like maybe funds to support conservation of Australian bush, whatever it is. I think of all the different things that people put into Google when they look for this. In fact, Google will give you ideas of this, but make sure you use those terms, those words, and terms a little bit through, even if you don't want it in your summary because it's put it into your job description. I've even gone into past jobs and kind of tweaked the terms according to what it is to improve my SEO. So the people that are coming up for me here is Christy Graham, CEO of Australian Sustainable Finance Institute, Jane Pound, Impact and Sustainable Investment. Now you'd think because we're first connections, you should be the first one to come up because these are what we want as coming up. So you can see these are all sort of people in this space that are and potentially all kind of competing for my money as a philanthropist interested in sustainable projects. So I wanted to, thanks for letting me play with you because that's pretty mean, but I hope you're okay with this.
No, it's fine. Thank you. Super useful. Thank you so much. Motivating me to do the thing I've known I've needed to do for a long time, which is make this a whole lot better.
This is important, and it's not about the photo.
That's a good point.
It's not about the photo. I love the photo. It's about using the real estate, having the words and the alignment. I love the photo. I don't want to see you up there with a freaking suit looking like me. Okay? I'm going to stop sharing that, but I'm sure that's given everyone some ideas about their own profile as well and what's coming up for you in your profile. And is what you're presenting out there aligned with who you are and what you stand for, and inviting the people you want to meet to come into your world. Okay, I'm just going to go back and carry on. Actually, it's not this one anymore. Let's go back to this one. Okay. Oh, wow, look at all this fancy stuff that's in this. I didn't even know how I did that. Okay, so our identities evolved to where we are now and who we want to be. So when we're thinking about our personal brand and we're aligning with all the things that we care about as conscious leaders, developing our visibility, the clarity of your values needs to be incorporated, and that's come through our conversations here today. Lots of clarity of values. What do I stand for? What's important to me? Like Diana says, she's caring about communities that are collaborative and inclusive. She said it so beautifully. Is that coming through her LinkedIn? Is that coming through the types of posts that she's doing? Is it coming through the types of articles that she's a thought leader on? Are you being consistent in your presence? In person and online? Do what people see, is it what they get? My biggest issue is that what people see is this authority with this incredible profile, and honestly, the amount of women that say I'm not yet ready to come into BW, I'm not quite there yet. To me, I've got a misalignment. I'm obviously not soft enough out there. People are assuming they'll see all this stuff I'm doing and they think it's all way more kind of professional than my way of doing stuff or whatever it is, like I'd love to have your thoughts on that. And I'd love for you all just to make a note of each other, please, who are on this call. Do a little look at each other's LinkedIn, connect with each other on LinkedIn and give each other some feedback about whether or not, what are you seeing in it? Is it aligning with your experience of each other in this room today even? You're building your network. Don't just come in here and expect to get this and then go away. Keep working on it together. You're each other's buddies. So being courageous in your communication as a conscious leader who's visible, if for me, this is about the courage of actually showing a little bit more of myself. Like I showed my shoe the other day and did a personal post, which I'd normally put on Facebook, and I put it on LinkedIn and it blew up. And I didn't even tag it or do any of the things I was meant to be doing according to, SEO. And I thought it was a great test because what a lot of my friends who don't normally interact with the businesswomen stuff actually interacted. And I thought, oh, that's so nice because it's like, okay, I can share some of the deeper thoughts I've got about things on LinkedIn. And even maybe some of the worries that I might have, even, I might start using a little bit more of that platform for publishing my thoughts and sharing as a courageous leader. strategic positioning. Now, strategic positioning is really relevant to this business aspect of our lives. You know, there's a purpose and there's a role and a function performing in the work that we're doing. And it's identifying, okay, what's the most important piece that I'm working on at the moment? And how am I positioning my brand, my thought leadership, my presence, my visibility in relation to saying things that are going to bring out of the woodwork or connect with the people that I need to connect with in order to progress that project or that venture or that initiative or that business goal or that community goal that I'm working on. So really aligning it then with our goals as well. So not just our values, not getting all, lost in the purpose and the values piece, but also tying it back to what is it that actually I'm in my role, like with Community Foundation, I'm being paid 2 days a week for some specific things to happen. So making sure I'm maybe even tagging some of the organisations of the people I'm trying to get in front of. That's using tagging to improve and tie your visibility, your presence, and your profile to your posts is a great way of doing it. Not overdoing it. I think Katrina, I said to her, tag some of the last lot of attendees for something we were doing, and I got a bit of backlash because I had a few ladies from Melbourne say, don't tag us, we're not members, and just because we came to something doesn't mean that we want to be tagged. So just don't get your VAs to do it because it won't be necessarily done intentionally or consciously. So really careful. But for example, I'm really keen to develop a really closer relationship here with Bendigo Bank in the Peel region. I know that one of the key people is coming to our next function. Next time I share something about the importance of community foundations and a bit more work around how community foundations work, I might actually tag Bendigo Bank. And then everyone who's associated with Bendigo Bank will get it in their feed, but I'm not actually tagging the person, so it's not going to sort of flag them as being under my sniper watch. But thinking strategically is like thinking about when you go into a room, who are the people there? Have you, I'm amazed at how many people don't ask me when I run an event, who's coming? Can they, have they got an idea of the guest list? I've stopped doing that in BWA now, just add everyone to the calendar invite. So if they really want to look, they can have a look. And if they're super strategic, they'll connect with everyone beforehand. And if they can't find their last name, they'll ask me. And occasionally I'll get that person asking that. So being strategic about building your community and identifying who you really want to hang out with and who looks like the sort of person. Again, that's relying then on, is their LinkedIn profile showing that they are the sort of person that I would want to connect with? So this is where, we're only relying on digital until we're in real spaces with people. What we mean by relational influence is that relationship aspect. How we work and communicate, how people feel around us, what are the words and language that we're using, are they feeling great when they're in our presence? Are we inviting them to come on a journey with us? I see this happen a lot in networking events where, here a woman might say to another one, oh, I'm doing this great stuff. It's really great. And there's someone leaning in, so interested, and no one's tuning into that. To me, I'm like watching body language. I'm like going, hey, would you like to know more? Do you want to catch up afterwards? Is this something that you'd like to do with us? The invitation in, a lot of people don't know how to buy from someone else or how to get involved with someone else. And this piece over here, which is very much around the conscious leadership framework, is the contribution over performance. How am I contributing to something that's building something better than just performing? And making it more real and more involved and more engaged. There is a place for performance, and I know some of you do a lot of keynote speaking and that sort of thing as well. And sometimes even in board meetings, there's a bit of a performance. But I'm actually believing that that contribution piece is a lot longer play. It's more authentic, and for me, I know contributing more is what at the end of the day is going to be the thing that is the legacy piece that has been so beautifully articulated today. So what's one area where you want to to grow greater visibility or influence. Think about one area. What's coming up for you now? And I want you to think about one courageous action that you could put in place between now and next month. So just spend a little bit of time doing that. One area where you would like to have a greater visibility or a greater influence. And one courageous action that you could put in place this month. So we're going to wrap up by sharing, if you want to share, one of those things that you've maybe committed to yourself, or even a thought, something might be bubbling up for you. There's sometimes things that get in the way for that, and there might be some opportunities that you've thought of immediately as a result of having this dive together. And I'm going to go around the room and just find out from each of you what's coming up for you. Catherine, can we call on you, or is that not fair?
No, that's all right. It's quite funny. I was actually just thinking, it's time I actually went back and had another look at my LinkedIn profile, because I really just, when I moved into the current role, I very quickly just updated the title, and it's time to go back and really look at adding some of the reality of what I now do in there. So, yeah, that's me.
Nice one. Excellent. Karen.
For me, it'll be really trying to get more into the media space, and that's quite daunting. So I've already started the steps in doing that, but it's just a whole new world. Alongside working in the business and on the business, it's one more thing where you go, wow, now I actually have an entire section of the week that has to be dedicated to media releases and responding back to journalists and all that sort of thing. But it's scary for me because it's hit a ceiling where you go, oh my gosh, am I actually doing this now? So, yeah, but it's happening. It's happening. I'm just going to steamroll and go from there with my eyes closed.
I love that courage. Jaslyn.
I mean, mine's a no-brainer. I need to update my LinkedIn, but I'll take it one step further. I'll schedule monthly reviews of it. So I'll get that all done and also as a perfectionist, I think that will take the pressure off of me. I don't have to get it right this time, but I will continue to work on it and make sure it's always relevant and up to date. So thank you for that guidance, Lynn. That was great.
My pleasure. And I'd love to see some sort of heartfelt sharing of some thought leadership and things like that too from your LinkedIn. Yeah, you do some great stuff in that, and you're doing such interesting work. So well done. Kat.
Today's been really interesting because I've had two hats on, one an attendee, but also a marketing hat, and I've made some great notes and observations from that perspective. One of them is actually about the journey. I'm talking about your age journey. So I'm a bit like Claudette. I'm old and basically stop caring at that point, what people think.
You're not old.
Well, okay, so I'm towards, I don't know what the language is, but we can come up with a better word. And
experienced, Kat.
I'm experienced, yes, thank you, Claudette. Yes, I'm experienced. And there my point of view is, if this doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me. I'm over turning myself inside out to actually meet other people's expectations. And so there was that observation, but then yes, I think even though I did set up my LinkedIn some time ago, I do need to revisit it and just tweak it in because I've added an educational component to my business, and I realize that that's not sitting there. So a practical and a intellectual observation.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Kat. Tsitsi, over to you.
I concur regarding the LinkedIn. I appreciate Len you walking us through and the insights. I liked the analogy of the real estate. So that would be at the top for me. And then the second one is, I still practice as a dentist currently, and I have found the conflict management skills that I have are definitely continuing to be of value. And so I would like to definitely further leverage that in my business as well. I do have some networking opportunities locally here. So just talking about that more, that this is an area of expertise and that will open up other doors as well within my business.
Absolutely. And there's so much credibility for a woman who's smart enough to be a dentist. Immediately, the fact you're a dentist and you're doing all this stuff is actually, to me, one of the big feathers in your hat that you should continue to shine. I just love that. And Claudette, over to you. Thanks, Itzy.
As far as increasing influence, being more influential, I have come across so many people who I've listened to and I've thought, oh my God, what an amazing life. What a story you've got. And when I say to people, oh, look, tell your story, they say, I don't have a story. Who would be interested? And I'm, listen to me. Whether or not somebody wants to publish widely or just for family, it doesn't matter. History is being lost because people aren't telling the story. In times, ancient times, communities had storytellers that kept the history going, handing it down to generation after generation after generation. In some cultures, a lot of African cultures, Middle Eastern, are still doing that. And I know this isn't I language, but we are losing our history because we're not telling those stories. So that's where I want to influence people. Tell those stories, record those stories, and keep your family history going. I mentioned before about the book that I'd finished, the manuscript I'd finished editing. This man's story isn't just about him. It's also Western Australian history and innovation and resilience and all those sorts of things. So it can reach much further than what you may initially think. That's what I want to influence.
Thanks, Claudette. And you are influencing that. I know it. Nikki, over to you.
I've actually had a LinkedIn coach over the last few months. I'm hoping my LinkedIn is it's never going to be finished. We know that's, as you talked about, it's never finished. But I think it's to the point that I'm happy with it, and I'm a very constant poster. I have a business and my personal profiles that I use. So from a LinkedIn perspective, it's just now trying to chase the algorithm, as we all know, that we need to work on. But I think from a LinkedIn perspective, I'm actually on the way to moving to Brisbane. I left Sydney in February and we're traveling our way up to Brisbane. So mine's really about really building my network once I'm in Brisbane. That's the big thing that I really need to do. Get some feet into some business real businesses that are situated in Brisbane and the outer suburbs there, and really start to build that network. That's sort of my real mission by the end of the year.
Gorgeous. And you'll love our community in Brisbane. They're very active. They meet at councils and
Yes.
and if you ask for introductions, they're very, very great with those sorts of
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, gorgeous. Excellent. Thanks, Nikki. And over to Sada. Off mute.
I was just typing to say I'm going to have to go, and how lovely it was to meet you all. Really loved hearing the conversation, and I'm actually a total wuss on social media, so that's going to be my courageous act, is to do some. Tried to do some just before Christmas, and a whole lot of stuff like the Bondi thing happened. I can tell you that story afterwards. And my LinkedIn profile is not great, I know. But may I have a list of the profiles so that if you want to receive some feedback, I'm happy to give it. Thank you so much. I've got a lot to learn. It was brilliant. Thank you. So I'm going to say goodbye now, and I'll just send this. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Sada.
You're welcome.
Kathy Turner, over to you.
I definitely need to look at my LinkedIn, but I was more reflecting on the last two questions you posed in terms of influence. And I'm really keen for my staff to learn and do what I'm learning. I'm still not there yet in asking myself in terms of interacting with stakeholders, how do I want to show up in this moment? So I want to influence them to be able to learn that as well, because I'm still learning it. And the courageous act would be to let them know this is what I'm doing. And I will get them to make me accountable by telling them an example or two of where I should have thought about how I would want to show up and I didn't, or if I did. So that's going to be in the next month's activity.
That's very meaningful. Thank you, Kathy, and bringing it back to everyday leadership and management is absolutely where it's all at. Diana, over to you.
So I focused on the questions as well, and my mind's going, oh, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, but I will review my LinkedIn. I also had someone coach me through developing my LinkedIn, and so it has been updated for the pivot that I have underway. And from an influence perspective, one part of my business, I have some influence, but not in the other part. So it's really thinking about how I achieve that. And I think for me, I love to network and to meet people, but I really want to focus on getting better at being able to ask. And that's asking for it, sort of people say, how can I help you? And I go, oh, I'm fine, don't worry. And so it's really finding the way to ask. I'm seeing a few nods, so maybe that's something a few of us have had challenges with, but getting really clear on how people can actually support me.
Amazing. I love that. And that's a great way for us to kind of finish off a little bit of where we're at too. So, when I look at, what I wanted to leave everyone with is that we don't do leadership alone. Visibility is far more grounded when there's intention, purpose, and community. We support each other, build and align our impact. We can do that, and together we grow our influence. So, really thinking about this community here as your community of practice, thinking about, how we can help and work with each other in doing some of these things, how we can bring these conversations forward. So there's lots of things that we can do and keep the conversation going. Even, the online is great. We've got these 2 online things. The next one's is Tuesday, the 2nd of June with Wendy. we're back here online with our virtual connect on the 25th of June. We're going to be looking at more at the financial side of things, financial confidence, definitions of wealth, looking at how one of the big things for me is that a lot of women are becoming the new poor, particularly women in the senior ages. Post-divorce, post-work, we're finding that women homelessness is growing. And then at the other side of things is the ability to put financial wealth and freedom as an important part of being able to then make impact as leaders in the community. I think are some of the themes I'd love to talk about, but I really be keen to hear what else you guys would like to cover off on that 25th of June. We've got loads of opportunities, and each of these online, even in our online ones, we're as confident facilitators in that community of practice that Kerry Nobes is leading. It's a really great opportunity to keep these conversations going as facilitators, which is a really key part of growing influence too, is how do we use our facilitation skills to get in front of the communities and the groups that we can gift to them so that that builds trust. All these tools in our toolkit are ways to actually have meaningful contribution and connection with each other. So it's by design that we have these kinds of things in our program and in our development pathways, and tying it then back to our conscious leadership development actually starts tying it all together and enabling our community, each one of us, to practice with each other so that out there in our influential networks that we are wanting to have the impact and make those connections, we've got that confidence, we've practiced in here. So think about this. There's no other community like this. This is your community. This has been designed like this because the members keep asking for this stuff, and let's use it. Let's make it and grow it so that it really is what we want it to be. So that's my message, and I just love having this time with you guys. I'm so grateful to spend it with you. I've got a list of things I'm going to be working on too, just in terms of raising my visibility around the things that deeply matter to me. And I know then rather than trying to be selling and promoting, moving more to sharing and sort of testing my thinking out there will bring and gravitate the right women to become a part of this journey with us. So that's what I'm taking out of today. So thank you for helping me shape that. Excellent. I think we did it with 46 seconds to go. How good are we? Okay, if you want to take your things off mute, that's all good. We can say our goodbyes, and anyone who wants to stay on and have a chat, I'm staying on for another 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
all.
Bye.
It's been a great session.
Thanks, Claudia. It has. It's been gorgeous. I love
Always with you, Lynn. And Kathy and Kat.
Oh, yes. Thank you. That was lovely. That was really great.
Yeah, thank you. I think there was so much contribution and everyone so coming from different perspectives. It's so interesting, and it just justifies my view that not one size fits all.
Definitely
No,
doesn't.
I don't think so.
Okay, until next time.
Until next time, keep promoting.
Thank you.
Story.
See you soon.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
That
Kat.
was awesome, Lynn. Well done.
Hope you are okay with that bank issue.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.